Hey Reiki Cafe, it's Christine Renee, and there was a comment in a post about having a ghost approach you during your Reiki session, and this has happened to me often. And a year ago, I would have been terrified and I don't do that. I don't go there. Right? And this year, year of 2018 was very transformative, especially on this level and approaching ghosts. So I've really changed my perspective on ghosts and all these things. And part of it is because I moved into the old Bozeman brothel house. My Reiki studio is here in downtown Bozeman, and it used to be the brothel house. And I've had to get really comfortable with the ghosts and did numerous energy clearings this year to help them cross over. Because it was my benefit, my client's benefit, and to the building, everyone who's here's benefit, as well as the ghosts. So and I'm not talking like, let's make a real quick defining line. You have spirits that miss their opportunity to cross over, and that's what I'm referring to as ghosts. I'm not talking about negative entities, demonics, any of those. I'm talking about true ghosts that are really truly stuck here, and they don't know how to cross over and don't know how to get the help they need. And so what happens is Reiki practitioners emit such a strong, bright white light that you are the light. That's what they're attracted to. You're the light that they're coming towards, right? And so you have these entities that are like, oh, there's the white light. Maybe they can help me, or they are what can help me cross over. And so basically, my approach now is make an appointment. So I have a lot of clients that have ghosts come to them all the time, and it's more about having energetic boundaries with them of when you're available and when you're not. You know, you don't want to be meeting ghosts when you're walking down the street, or when you're going to the library, or when you're just doing your everyday business, right? So you need to give them opportunities to come and when you're available, right? During your session, you're not available. When you're out and about, you're not available. So you need to make opportunities that you are available so that they can present themselves. Or schedule a time when you go to someone's house to do a clearing, right? So I did an energy clearing yesterday morning. Someone called me up and said, I'm freaked out. I've got a ghost in my house. I don't know what to do. Can you come over? I go, in the morning. I'll come over in the morning. Got to deal with it until the morning because it's already pretty late. So I went over, and how I approach it is I have the client sage the space while I'm giving Reiki to every room and every piece of furniture, antique, pictures. You know, I really am tuning into the energy and going, is this positive for the space, or is it neutral, or is it negative? And if it's negative, can I bless it with Reiki and change the frequency, or is it something that needs to be gotten rid of? You know, so think about that when you feel into things. If it's not an energetic match for the space, maybe it needs to move. Maybe it needs to be disposed of. Maybe it needs, you have to kind of feel into the stuff, because some things, especially used items, can have entities attached to it. And then you're bringing in entities in your house, ghosts and the like, into your space. And so I have the client do the sage because that's easy to teach. And then I offer Reiki to each of the walls, clearing the walls. And then basically I kind of sweep all of the energy into one room where the most paranormal activity is. Once I get there, it's kind of going into a meditative space when you can see, when you can hear, whatever your spiritual gifts are, you're allowing that to open up so that you can communicate. So for example, yesterday morning, I got to the kitchen. I got through most of the house, and most of the activity was in the kitchen and the living room. And so I got to the kitchen, and I'm standing there, and I just tuned in for a second, and I got this very 1980s bachelor frat boy energy, and I was like, and I got the name Jeffrey. And so I asked my client, do you know a Jeffrey? Does the name Jeffrey mean anything to you? No, Jeffrey doesn't mean anything to me. Okay. So then I'm standing there in the kitchen, and I'm just tuning in, and I'm like trying to convince him that he's dead. I'm like, this isn't your house. You realize that? No, this is where I live. Yeah, there's my cat, and then my buddy's over. I'm like, this isn't your house. You're dead. And so I kind of had to convince him that he had died and he missed his opportunity. So that's another really marker that you're dealing with a ghost. A lot of times they don't realize that they're dead, and they're just living their life on repeat in that space. So then I kind of was like, okay, let's go sit down in the living room, because that was his other hangout spot. And so we sat down, and I'm talking to him, and he is just bored. So he's messing with the two girls that live there, and they're in their early 20s. They're very cute. They spend a lot of time on their hair and their makeup, and they're really easy to scare. And so he is knocking on walls, and he's messing with their cats, and he's doing things because he's bored, and he's trying to get a rise out of the girls because he feeds off of their energy. Okay, that's another lesson in there. So ghosts feed off of strong emotions, whatever they are. So if you have a very strong reaction to fear, they're feeding off of that. If you have a strong reaction to you're calling in, Jesus and the guides, and you're just making a big hoopla out of the issue, they're going to feed off of that. You actually need to stay as energetically neutral as possible, right? So staying energetically neutral is key when you're dealing with ghosts. So then I was like, well, okay, so I just tried to explain what consent was, because he was watching the girls, and he was messing with their cats, and he was messing with them. And so I kind of was like, you have to have consent to be here. They didn't give you consent. You're not welcome in this space, and I have a better option for you. And he's like, well, I don't want to leave. Life is good here. I'm like, and so that's when I invite my heavy lifters, right? Those are my angels. So I call upon Archangel Uriel, who is the bearer of light, and then I ask for him to have assistance with him. So angelic assistance and Archangel Uriel, and I introduce them. I go, Jeffrey, this is Uriel. And they shake hands. The moment he shook his hand, he could feel the energy of Uriel and knew that he wanted whatever he had. I go, he can help you, bring you to the light. He can help you cross over, and it's going to be more of that feeling. He's like, oh, I want that. And so I envision them walking out into the yard. And in this case, it was kind of funny. When he opened the barrier to cross over, it was like an energetic roller coaster ride, and very all lit up light. And he called to his ghost buddies, basically, who had been coming over as well, to cross over with him. And it was nothing more than asking for the angels to come and help them cross over. And a lot of time, that's all that's needed. They're just there to have you be the introduction to an archangel, to help them. Other ways that I've done it is to create a space, set out some candles, make a little altar, and ask that there's an energetic beam of white light lined with angels to help spirits in need cross over. And so good times for me to do this, I'll do it quarterly, on the equinox, or on Halloween, on the quarter notches. And so finding those thin veil times to just be like, this is the time to help the spirits cross over. Then they don't stack up and get all lined up that they need me all the time, because I put them on my calendar in a way. They're on the books that I'm going to do this regularly and clear out the space. being in the space that I'm at, being in this brothel house, old Bozeman brothel house, not currently this, but that's the history, I had to get very comfortable with that and talking to them and knowing when they're around. And I've had one session with a client where I had all 4 archangels working on him, and then all of a sudden I had a line of ghosts because the light was so bright coming from my session, as I had so many archangels and angels working with me for that particular session, that at the door of my studio I had a line of ghosts coming. And I said, let there be a light energy pathway for them to cross over right here. They are not allowed into the room, but I can invite the angels to help them cross over because they're showing up. And so I was doing kind of 2 things at once. I'm holding space for my client, and I'm holding space for these entities, these ghosts, to cross over. So you kind of need to be aware, and when they show up, sometimes it's nothing more than I call upon angels that can help the spirit do what they need to do and cross over. And sometimes it can be that simple. So next time that you're nervous about a ghost, try to stay energetically neutral. Ask for the angels to be present with you, and ask that the angels help the ghost go where they need to go for their highest benefit. So I think in 2018, I've probably helped at least 24 souls cross over. And what that feels like for me is like I could not do better work. I'm getting the chills right now, because these are souls that have been stuck in this building for probably almost a century. And they had never had the chance or opportunity to cross. And I gave it to them. And I can't put words to that, what that feels like. It's amazing that it's like they've been waiting for decades for someone like me to show up to help them. And I was able to help them cross over. And so I have a completely different outlook on ghosts. I see them more with compassion. And I don't usually find malevolent ones, malicious ones, like they're usually bored or stuck in an emotional field. Or I have worked on someone who was fairly negative, but he too didn't know he was dead. And so he was just in the same vibration that when he died, that's where he was at. And so he just got put on pause, energetically put on pause on that vibrational note, and nothing could change. And so as you start encountering ghosts, call the angels to help you. I think that's my take-home message. They're looking for help. If you greet them with compassion and with service, it's going to work out. It's just going to work out. So I hope you guys can take this into your practices. I don't seek out ghosts. Like, I'm not a ghost hunter. I don't go to ghost towns. I don't go to cemeteries. But I do think that if I can provide an opportunity, it's going to benefit not only these poor souls, but to the spaces that they usually harbor. So with that, I hope you all have a lovely evening, and good night. Take care.